Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/swirlsuite. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Welcome to the Swirl Suite, everybody. Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day. Hey, Tanisha.
Hi.
You can definitely tell it's early in the day by your tone.
Right, that's when it's not as late. It's
You're
1.
So chipper.
It's 1. So 1 o'clock isn't so bad.
See, now bless your heart. I can't remember the last time I saw 1 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, but being honest.
Hey, that's the life you live, girl.
Yes.
Early to bed, early to rise.
Yeah,
so
this is
you
true.
Be up, right? You be up messaging me like, "Hey, girl, all these." I'm like, it's 4:30 in DC. Like,
yeah, I am an early riser, and I think early too. So things run through my head as I get up. So.
My God.
All right, sis. Yeah. So what's been going on? What did you do fantastic in Paris the past 2 weeks? Because we didn't talk to you last week.
Right, that's good. Have I done anything like extra fantastic? No, the weather was nice. So I was literally out all day, every day, all day last weekend. This weekend, not so much. Like today, it rained off and on. It's like raining now. So like in the evening, it just really started just coming down, like just steady. Mm-hmm. Not like heavy rainfall, but just steady.
Yeah.
So that was just nice lay down Netflix weather.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel guilty though, because I always feel like I should be working.
Doing something.
I always.
Well, wait, you just got back from Champagne though.
I did, but I still feel like I should be doing stuff. Like I should be emailing people. I should be making contacts. Yeah. So.
Can you tell the people about the most expensive street in Champagne, or is that in Champagne or in France, or is it in the world?
Yeah. No. Well, first of all, just go to my Instagram at Girl Meets Glass. Hit that up. But no, it's a street in Epernay, and it's de Champagne, and there are several champagne houses on that street. Perrier-Jouet is there, Moet is on that street, Laurent Perrier, and then some Champagne Mercier, Castellanove is near the end of the street. And so just all throughout the street are other smaller houses, but champagne cellars are underground. And so they say it's the most expensive street because all of the champagne cellars and all the champagne that's underground through the street. So they're saying it's expensive due to that.
How about that?
Yeah. You have to store champagne for 18 months before you can sell it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in the bottle. So you have those, and then you have the different vintages, and then you have some that they're just aging, trying to be extra fancy. Then you have some older millésimes that they have down there, and some magnums and things like that. So, yeah, going to an actual champagne cellar is like an amazing thing to see, because a chalk cellar, just the way it looks and the way the walls feel, how it feels cool, but then kind of wet.
Yeah,
it's a dope thing to see. But once you've seen one, it's like, all right, I'm good. Because when you go to the larger houses, like they all want to give you the tour of their cellar. Like, okay, look at our cellar. This is amazing. This is the process. Da, 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 da.
And do they all look just alike?
I mean, not just alike, but if you've seen 1 or 3, then you're like, oh, okay, I have the gist of how this works.
Got it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, there are some that are UNESCO, that have the UNESCO rating, or I don't even know what you call things with UNESCO, but like they have the UNESCO seal, and so it's like a protected heritage site. But yeah, once you've seen a couple, you're like, all right, I got it. I just want to taste it. Like, I don't have to see what your cellar looks like. But I'm like that with a lot of, as many wineries as I've gone to, and press trips and educational trips, and they always want to show the tanks and, their facility and all that. That looks the same purpose. And I hate to say this and, sound like me, and for people who would like, okay, well, I've never seen one and I'd be amazed to see it. You'd be amazed to see it the first several times, for sure. But what a barrel looks like, so I don't need to see it anymore.
Yeah.
Now I am fascinated with how they make the barrel, so I haven't seen enough of those.
Oh,
So
okay. I
to
don't think.
cooperage, I
Have I?
have been to
No, I
one
have
before.
seen that before. Not in person though.
Yeah, I have been to a cooperage or a tonnellerie, which is how they call it in France, and so I
Mm-hmm.
have been to one of those to see how they make barrels. So, but I've only been to one, and I'm like that I could do again and again because that is kind of like a different process.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've only been to one, so I would enjoy seeing that more than just going into the winery and you showing me your stainless steel tanks or underground to see your cellar,
Right.
where you have it in the barrels. I mean, I go down because I mean it's good pictures for Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Interesting.
Other
So,
than that,
speaking of
straight.
interesting, last week was insane for me. My schedule just was really crazy, but I'll tell you the fun parts.
Right, because I
So,
was trying to get you to go to some events on my behalf, and you was
yeah,
like,
and
"No,
I
I'm
was
busy."
all right. I was already booked. Yeah.
I'm
So,
like, but I'm asking nicely.
so my Spice Suite event was last week. It was last Wednesday. It was really fun. Everybody had a good time. They loved the pairings, and I'm actually drinking one of the wines, which our special guest. She is the distributor, right? Distributor. She is the South African distributor for this winery. And so I'm drinking a Chenin Blanc, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Mhm,
So that was
mhm.
fun. Um, and earlier that day, I went to a wine event with City Winery. So City Winery is not open yet, but it's also known as the Old Love Building. So that's gonna be
Oh,
yes.
I
Oh,
thought I thought it was at 7:30,
uh huh.
and then and I said, well, you know what? Let me just check and see.
Well, I'm glad you did.
and he realized it was 7.
I was like, oh shit! I know she's gonna be mad. Oh
Oh my
goodness gracious!
gosh. Well, welcome. I was just telling Tanisha about the City Winery event that I went to last week.
How was it?
So it was really nice. What was interesting about it, I mean, I didn't know what to expect. Well, no, I did. I expected it to be boring, honestly. I was like, okay, it's another wine masterclass, and they talking California wine. All right, I just want to taste these wines and show my face and network a little bit and just go because I think I'm going to be
Mhm.
bored to death. But it was a total opposite. So this tasting was they call this the West of the West. So these are the West Coast West Sonoma Coast vintners.
Uh
So
huh.
these are all the vintners on the west side of Sonoma Coast. So according to
Okay,
Okay.
West
them,
Side.
yeah.
Okay, is it like
So
a gang, like that kind
it's
of
West
yeah.
West Side?
side. Okay.
Right.
They are trying to petition to get their own AVA because
Oh,
they feel like in other words, they feel like a needle in the haystack, just sort of being lumped into the
yeah.
Sonoma Coast, AVA, and they feel like their wineries and their lands and their geological makeups are so unique, and they
Mm.
compared it to Burgundy, and so we
She
tasted.
did
They
say.
did.
Okay,
We
sorry.
tasted.
I hope we're not on camera, are we?
We are.
I mean, but are we like live? I would put my lipstick down. I'm so sorry.
Wait.
This is
Like, but
reality
not like that
podcast.
side.
This is reality
Right.
podcast.
It
This
is.
is the real deal. Right.
So,
It's fine. Let's see. Go pick your nose too. Like do whatever you
girl,
need
do
to
what you
do.
gotta
Make sure
do.
you're
Exactly. I need
right.
to adjust myself. Okay, we're
Right.
good.
Get your life in order.
But
Hair straight.
so we tasted 10 different Pinot Noirs from the West Sonoma Coast vintners, and they were
Okay.
all very different. They all have different soil, um, a lot of microclimate. So it's really interesting to hear them each talk about their wines and how their land is different from the other, and how some face
Different from
north,
the other is
each other.
different from each other in this
Yes,
group or different from other
both,
Sonoma.
both. They talked
Oh.
about both. Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know if they have been accepted yet, but they're still petitioning to try to get their own AVA. And the state of California is like, why would we give you that when there's no East Coast Sonoma? There's no East Sonoma coast. Like, why would we feel the need to give you that? But it's interesting what they're positioning for, and they were very serious about it. But it was, it was fun. It was fun.
Very interesting. Well, Ligonor has its own AVA.
I'm sure they do, honey. I'm sure they do.
I had a comment for that. I'm gonna keep to myself. Yes. So in tasting these wines, and since they say like, oh yeah, comparing themselves to Burgundy, like you already know, like I can't let go of this one.
Yeah.
Did they taste similar to the French style of Pinot Noir?
Yes, they did. They were not big. They were not over oaked. They did not. If you put those in front of me blind, I would not think they were from California.
Okay, and the reason I asked that is because I actually like the style of California Pinot Noir is fine in and of itself. That's not my preferred style of Pinot Noir. As far as like what I like and enjoy.
They compare their wines to Oregon, as far as U.S.
Okay.
So
which I like Oregon wine.
So do
I like Oregon.
So
if I gotta do America.
Listen at you.
Right. Oh my God, I'm totally that person. If I gotta drink American.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And no, I don't think City Winery is open yet. But according to the people who work there, they were like, yeah, we're actually going through inspection at this moment. So they should be open next week. That's what they said.
Well, I see them advertising a lot, and I think it's interesting in their advertising that they're not really advertising the winery part.
You're right.
They're advertising more of the concert venues.
Yeah. And my mom actually called me. She was like, so what's going on with the City Winery? What can you tell me? I was like, nothing. I can't tell you nothing. I know nothing.
But then you say
I know it's not open yet.
But then you say it like that, and it seemed like you had, what can you tell? Nothing. I don't know nothing. You know something?
All I know is they're going to have wine, and East Sonoma Coast wines are going to be in there once they open. That's all I know.
West Sonoma, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
West Sonoma. Yeah.
West
Side.
Yeah. I need you to get your facts straight, man. What are you doing to the people? This is a podcast.
My apologies, guys.
Did you go? Were you able to do a sneak preview?
No, we weren't able to go in City Winery because they were going through inspection. So it was held. Okay, there is this place that's attached to the Heck Warehouse, and it has Hyphen DC on the outside. It's around the corner from the Planet Fitness. Yeah, it was in there. That's a venue for private events. So it was in there.
I was over there Friday because I went to Atlas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I did notice that place on the corner near the smokehouse.
Yes.
The smokehouse is on one street, and then on the corner there looks to be like a I don't want to say it's a pop-up club, but it doesn't have a lot of advertising labeling on it.
Okay.
Was it there?
It's it's not on the corner, but it's near the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's it.
That's interesting.
So,
interesting.
That was that. So Leslie, how have you been? How have your tours been going?
Very good. We had a tour today. We had a record-breaking weekend.
Really? Yay!
Yeah, we provided over 100 tours this weekend.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
100 people took a Vino 301 tour this week.
Wow. Girl, that is amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So wait, how many per day did you have? Did it start on Friday? Did it start on Thursday?
It started on Friday. Friday was the biggest group. We had 40 people on Friday.
Wow.
And this is in one group? Oh my God, I can't control
one group. In one group. So we had 2 guides with that one group. And it was really cute because, which I think this is something to consider. It was, the couple live out of town, but she is from Maryland. So they were doing the wedding here. And so they had a lot of guests. They had international guests flying in. And so they decided to do a wine tour that Friday before the rehearsal dinner. So
Okay.
it gave their out-of-town guests something to do.
Mm.
So we did a tour before the rehearsal dinner.
Wow.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
That's a
Very nice.
fantastic idea.
Isn't it? It's a great, yeah, it was a really good idea.
Lovely.
Cool.
So now that Scandal is over, what is everybody watching?
Stop! Don't talk about Scandal. I ain't watching it.
We're not gonna talk about Scandal. What other
Okay,
shows?
like I just had to stop you because I ain't know. Like,
So
I felt like
I've
you
been
were gonna
watching
try to
it
get
backwards.
into it.
Oh, you've been watching it backwards?
Yeah, because I have not seen Scandal in like many moons.
Mm.
So I started with the season finale, and I'm working backwards.
Oh, girl.
And why I am so pissed, because on demand, at one point you have to buy the episodes this season for on demand.
Yeah, you can't wait.
And so it's the one episode I want to see where they do the crossover with Annalise.
Yeah, you didn't watch
girl,
that
you gotta
one?
find it online for free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you gotta
I'm gonna go on.
Yeah.
Online.
Yeah,
I gotta go on Comcast.
Go to the website, watch series. So do watch series online and then Scandal, and that's where you.
That was a really good episode. Oh my goodness.
Oh, see, this is why I don't even want y'all to like talk about anything about it,
Okay.
like at all. We gotta talk about something else,
What
like
else are you
snowfall and like climate change and grass growing.
So, Tanisha, what are you watching in Paris?
I'm watching the show on Netflix, La Casa de Papel, that I'm like obsessed with. Several people here, and it's actually a Spanish show, so not even a French thing. So you all could probably get it there. It's also called, because it came up on mine first as Money Heist.
I saw that. That came up in my Money Heist.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Okay.
Watch it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the basis of it, which this is not me giving anything away, it's these people try to rob the mint. So where they make money. And so that is the premise of it. So just think of how that could go down. Yeah. So it's interesting. Human behavior is fascinating in kind of situations. Because whenever you have any kind of plan, like that's what happens. Because you know I'm into all this crime stuff. So when people plan out crimes, or when you watch Snapped or anything like that, or people like, no, I'm gonna try to have my husband killed and it'll be fine. Mm-hmm. It's always like something that you just don't predict.
Yeah.
And
or somebody being around and saw you do something that put you in that place.
You just never know how people are gonna act or what they're gonna do. It'll be like one small thing could be off. Yeah.
How about that? Wow. So I've been really into BBC lately. So, well, first, let's back up. So, y'all know I'm obsessed with all Shonda shows, and I still watch Grey's Anatomy. So, Christina Yang from Grey's Anatomy, she left the show a while ago, and I've been waiting for her to pop up and do something else. Now she's on a BBC show called Killing Eve. So, it's all about... Eve is her.
I think I heard about this show.
Yeah, so Eve is her.
I can't add
and it's
any more
all about
this
assassin, this female assassin trying to kill her. And she's like a detective. And she was following all these murders and was like, oh my gosh, guys, I think we have a female assassin and we have to get her. So anyway, some things went wrong and she got fired from, I think she was a detective and she got fired. But there was this secret... Yeah, the secret group of people are like, okay, we know about the assassin. You can come help us. So it's all about her chasing the assassin, but the assassin being obsessed with her, chasing her. So it's a lot of back and forth. And it's actually, it's funny and it's suspenseful. So imagine that.
Does she speak in a British accent?
Nah, she doesn't. She's American.
Good, because listen, Americans go wrong when they try to do British accents. Like everybody else can fake an American accent, but like us doing other accents, we sound dumb.
Yeah.
And my other show is called Dr. Foster. So Dr. Foster is about this doctor.
You are obsessed with BBC.
So, well, it's just two shows. This is my first show. So this other show, and Killing Eve is on BBC, and Dr. Foster is on Netflix. So Dr. Foster, she's a female doctor, and she believes that her husband is cheating on her. And so, like, they go through all these little clues. Like, first she finds a strand of hair, and then she started looking at all the women in her life that have this color hair, and then she finds out something else and something else. But then she comes
crazy.
No, I mean, come on, son. If you find hair on a blazer, you ain't gonna think twice. And then, but something will happen, and it'll be like, oh, I went to see my mom. That's my mom's hair, So then she's like, okay. Then something else happens, and she's like, all right, I gotta follow up on this, and she can't stop. And I'm not gonna tell you what she eventually finds out, whether he is.
She sounds messed up.
But
right.
It's
but
crazy.
No, like if I see a hair on a blazer, like that could legit be anything. Like, doesn't he work outside the home?
Yes,
you can just be on the metro and somebody's hair gets on you. Like,
it was a hair. Then it was lip gloss falling out his pocket.
Okay, now
he's a cross dresser. He's a cross dresser. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
I mean, even though it wasn't, yeah. And
I'm gonna help him out with all the But if you already suspect somebody of doing something, then anything they do.
Right. But she didn't at first, but all these clues keep leading her in that direction. But another clue will lead her back. Like, oh, he's not cheating. Oh, he is cheating. Oh, he's not cheating. And then it just gets like more intense, and it's crazy.
That is crazy. Because I feel like usually if like you're looking for something, then like to find it. But like you just see you'll find it. But if you see just like a random thing, like cheating is not the first thing that's on my mind. Sure. Unless you are already thinking he's cheating, then stuff goes along with that. Then you're like, okay, wait, this is the evidence. But not just, oh my God, lipstick falls out of his his pocket. He's cheating.
I do have to say, I would give the side eye. If lipstick was falling out of his pocket. Like,
I mean, I'm an ass though. I'd be like, what happened? Because it could be just as simple as like,
please.
It was on the ground or like at his office, and then he was like, "Oh wait, I need to get this to so and so. Put it, let me put it in my pocket." Like that is something that could possibly be explained. Because if you cheated, really, you gonna put lipstick in your pocket from the woman? No. If it's in your car under the seat, then that might be a different thing. Or if you have like a hotel receipt in your pocket, okay, now we gotta talk about this. But lipstick, I'm not convinced. And a hair on your blazer, no. I want to trust you more than that.
Okay. Good. Oh, good job. Good job.
Very good.
Okay.
I would, but walking around with lipstick in your pocket.
Because also, I'm like, lipstick in your pocket, like, you clearly don't love me because you're not even trying to hide nothing. Lipstick in your pocket, like, I want to trust you more than that, and I want you to care more about me that you at least trying to hide this situation. If you just flat out have lipstick in your pocket, you don't care. And you just like, well, it's in my pocket, and what? What you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's kind of blatant. If you are cheating and it's her lipstick in your pocket, what?
Sometimes, I mean, obviously, if you're cheating, most men are not very good at it. I.e., Khloe Kardashian. You're just not good at it.
I don't know if he tried. That's the thing. Like,
did he try to cover? You think he didn't try to cover it up because he was just out there on camera kissing some other woman?
Right. That's about. He didn't try. So, like, in this situation, you just had lips in your pocket. You're not trying. You clearly don't care enough about me in our relationship that you're not even trying to have this. Not saying I'm still about to take you back or, whatever, but like, you're not even, like, you try to hide it.
You would appreciate the effort to hide the shit from me.
Act like you love me. Try to hide it. Like, what?
Oh.
Hide it, please.
That is funny.
I mean, clearly, number one, don't. Like, how about that? But, hide it. People gonna listen to this and be like, oh my God, them chicks talk about anything.
I mean, seriously. What? Seriously.
This could be a whole nother episode.
Oh, no. Yeah, because I saw something on Instagram.
Yeah, you did.
And
that was like a hot thing for a while too, where a lot of people were talking about that and making comments, and I'm like,
I'm going to just bring it up since we're waiting. There was this thing on Instagram that said, God, what did this? Now I got to look it up. Hold on, because I want to be exact.
It said that it says that men don't necessarily marry for
love.
love or whatever. They marry the person who they are around or who they love when they're ready to be married.
Yeah, and I
It
believe
might
that.
not so it might not be like the great love of their life or the person that they love the most, but the person that they're with and that they love when they're ready, that's who they marry.
Yeah.
Which okay, so you remember, let's just go back a little.
Okay.
When Jay-Z and Beyonce, right?
Okay, I'm like JC.
Jay-Z and Beyonce. And Simone, what is her name? The commentator on CNN. It'll hit me what her last name is.
Oh, with the buzz cut? With the
the
Caesar? Okay.
Yes. So she wrote a response to his album.
Okay.
And basically her response was, I am sick and tired of loving these men and raising them up to be men. So then the next woman, he is ready for the next woman and he's ready to get married to the next woman.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah.
And so I want a man who is ready. Come to the table ready. Don't come to the table emotionally not ready. And then after you break up, then you tell me you're so thankful for how you worked with me and prepared me. And now at the next relationship, I will be a better man. Be a better man now. And so I think there is some credence to that about men marrying or ready, not even marrying, but ready to commit to the woman that they're with because they are ready at that time. I do believe that because there is this lack of emotional intelligence at one point, and even if they wanted to commit, they're not ready to commit, so they're not going to do that, even if she was the one that he should be with. And he recognizes that after the fact, that now the next one who just happens to be there, that's the one he's going to be with.
Yep. Agreed.
I totally agree.
Yeah, no, that is really a thing, and it's unfortunate. You look back at something, and some people argue, they were like, no, because I've looked back at relationships that I wasn't in, and and then I see them married later, or then I find my mate and I'm with them, and I realize, oh, this is good. This is why I didn't work out with that person. And not to say that it wouldn't ever work out with the person they were with before, but that person they were with before wasn't ready. Like when they would say these kind of things, I'm like, you're further like explaining the point that everybody else is trying to make, that person wasn't ready, so that's why that person didn't marry you.
Exactly.
So they were ready further down the line and got with somebody else, and they may look back and think like, oh yeah, we would have been good together. I wish it could have been you. They weren't ready at that time. Had you met them later, then maybe you would have been the one. The person that you married, you met them during their time and they're later when they were ready.
Right.
And so you got married. Because I don't think there's this whole one person, kind of thing that you're just supposed to be with only.
Right. Oh, her name is Simone Sanders.
Yes, Simone Sanders, yes.
This episode of The Swirl Suite is brought to you in part by Audible. Don't have time to read about wine? Audible goes wherever you go. Listen to wine education books, novels about wine, or even wine mysteries. Right now, I'm listening to a novel called Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I listen through Audible at the gym, driving, even walking my dog. Download Audible now for your free trial with a special Swirl Suite code. That's audibletrial.com/Swirl Suite. Cheers.
Our special guest is here.
Hey, did that work?
Yeah, special guest.
Yeah, you're here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you all?
Good.
Very good.
Welcome to the Swirl Suite.
Thank you. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Yes, happy Sunday.
Awesome. So you can start out by introducing yourself to everybody.
All right. So my name is Alyssa. I own Red Wolf Imports along with my husband, Ian, and we are a wine import company just based here in DC. Yeah. Oh, and you can find us on social media at Red Wolf Imports on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So, yeah.
Very nice. So, how exactly? What is your connection with South Africa, and why did you guys decide to start a distribution company?
So we went there on vacation. My mom had a big birthday. I won't say what birthday in case she sees this. But my mom had a big birthday and took us along with her to South Africa, which was amazing. So we went to Cape Town. We went to the winelands, tasted and drank lots of wine, loved it. Came back here to DC, and what we were seeing on the shelves regularly just wasn't. We didn't feel like it was representing what was really out there what we had tasted when we were there. So Ian has some connections in logistics, and his education was helpful in that. And we started looking into what we would need to do to bring wines over here, and then slowly we just did it.
So your trip to South Africa, that drew you to wine, or were you already into wine before you took the trip?
We were into wine just on a non-professional level. We had taken some just for fun wine classes. We drank wine regularly, paired wine with food. It was after South Africa that we started getting into it on a professional capacity. And I started taking WSET classes. So that I could know what I was talking about a little bit more. And then we actually went back in 2016, because when you taste wine on vacation, it's different. We've all bought wine at local wineries, and then you get back and, Yeah. So we went back in 2016 and we met with producers and tasted, and we were actually sitting in, we're at a winery in Hemelanarde, which is just outside of a little town called Hermanus. So it's a little bit east and south of Cape Town. They make Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So we're sitting there having a Pinot, and we were like, okay, yes, this wine is good. It wasn't just that vacation mindset. So, yeah.
How about that? And what was your first winery that you chose to add to your portfolio? And how do you go about choosing wines you want to represent?
It's a relationship. So we, you do your research and you look into the area and the region. So that gave us some focus there. But we tasted a lot of great wine, and there are certain people that you can see doing business with and working with, and some that maybe you would like to go out and have a few glasses of wine with, but not actually work with professionally. So we, looked at it that this was going to be hopefully a long-term relationship that we were going to have. So that was one way that we kind of focused in. I think the first winery, I'm trying to think it was probably Capsict.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That we ended up working with. They had a U.S. presence in Connecticut, and unfortunately had a bad experience with their importer there. So their wines had been well received in the States, and they decided to take a chance on another U.S. importer and work with us.
I'm actually drinking the Chenin Blanc.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So in a couple of weeks, I noticed there is a large importer conference in New York. Mm-hmm. And is that how you started to meet people, or did you just fly back to South Africa and say, hey, we want to import your wines?
A little bit of both. We did go to South Africa at the beginning of 2016, and that was there was a lot of planning that went into that trip, and we had communicated with the people that we had set meetings with. Mm-hmm. But that trade tasting show in New York, I'm actually going again this year, but the ABID conference is tagged along with it now. And I'm speaking at that conference. But the trade tasting is where we met another one of our producers, Babylon Storin. Mm-hmm. One of their, actually Gene, who was at Dio last week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was there. He was pouring wines, and we ended up talking to him. And he was interested. They really wanted to be in the DC area. So we did meet Babylon Store in that way. All of our other people, we actually went and met at their wineries in South Africa.
Okay. What was the other part? I'm sorry, Sarita. What was the other part? Because I've received a number of emails about that conference, and I noticed that they are inviting Psalms to that conference as well as importers. So have they expanded the focus of it?
I think so. When I went in 2016, it was mostly importers, wholesalers, I think retailers, and then there were media people there as well. Okay. And it was just a big tasting. The ABID conference, which is what I'm attending, is more. It's more like a typical conference. It's not samples or anything. But those will be right next door. So I think when we finish up the ABID, we're going to probably all head over and go taste a little bit. Yeah, trade tasting.
I have a really silly question. Can you tell me the difference between an importer and a distributor? Can they both do the same job, or do they have to be different?
That is not a silly question because it's a complicated answer. It actually just depends on what state you're in, and in Maryland, like what county you're in. So in Washington, D.C., your license allows you to both import the wine and then also distribute it. But in a state like Maryland, it's two, or Maryland's a weird example, but in other states, it is two different licenses, and those are expensive. So some people do self-distribute. It also has to do with your residency too. But some people will self-distribute, at least in their home state, and then maybe work with a wholesaler partner in another state. So it's this 3-tier system that is typically followed in the U.S. that, like the UK, I don't think Asia, their systems are very different.
Interesting. And so what made you choose the importer part of it compared to all the other jobs in wine?
We went with importing because, there's a million jobs you can do in wine. We knew we wanted to work in wine. I am terrible at service. I spill wine all the time when I do sales calls. So that was going to be out. But one reason I got into this or got excited about it was I really like hosting. I like sharing things that I've found with my friends, with my family. So what's really cool is to, do all this tedious work, and then do the fun part, which is going to South Africa, tasting, meeting these folks at their wineries, but then being able to share that with everybody. So bringing that wine back to the States is really exciting. And when we started drinking wine and, really paying attention, we actually used importer labels as a way to guide us to what we wanted to choose. So, you're in a wine shop. Maybe you don't have any wine knowledge or education. You're new, you're learning, or you're never interested in learning. You just like to drink wine, which is fine. But how do you know what's going to be good quality for the money? Because there's $30 California cabs that are great. And then there's $30 California cabs that, arguably should be $7 wine. So when we would go and buy a wine, we'd kind of look at the bottle and then flip the label over and look and actually see who imported it. So, for example, like Kermit Lynch usually has pretty good quality. So if we saw that it was a Kermit Lynch wine, I might say, yeah, I'm going to spend my money on this wine versus someone that I'm not familiar with. So, so that was how we ended up making that decision.
Interesting. What are some of the major challenges with importing and distributing from South Africa?
Timing your inventory is really challenging because when I buy wine, I have to pretty much buy it from the producer. But it sells, it's not like if I buy a wine in South Africa on Tuesday, you're not going to be drinking that wine on Wednesday. It can take 4 to 6 weeks for it to get here. So that's definitely, the logistics are a challenge. The licensing and kind of the paperwork that goes along with importing is definitely a challenge. And I'm grateful that my partner went to law school and has some training in reading documents and understanding legalese, because I fall asleep when I try to read. And then, I mean, it's sales. Sales can be challenging because you're going to get rejected. You're going to be told no. So there's definitely challenges, but there's challenges in any job, in any industry. So as long as the upside outweighs those, the challenge is fun sometimes.
You mentioned sales. So as an importer, who exactly do you sell to? Do you sell to restaurant stores? Do you sell direct to consumer? How does that work?
It's all of the above. So as far as who actually makes the purchase from me, it's the wholesaler. It's the distributor. Okay. So we currently work with a small local distributor. They're DC, Maryland only. And we went and we did a sales presentation to them because there's a lot of good wine out there. A lot of people bring in good wine. Why do they want to work with us over someone else? So you will sell to the wholesaler, but then you'll also go with your wholesaler and do like walk with, where you will go to their retail customers, their restaurant customers, and you'll pour your wines for them and try to sell them wine. And as far as consumers, direct-to-consumer sales is now a thing. So buying wine online and having it shipped. But also when you do a tasting or an event, you do want people to buy your wine. So you might close a consumer a little bit differently than you would a professional wine buyer. But you have to help that person make that decision like, yes, this really is the right wine for me, and I'm willing to spend X amount of dollars on it.
So how do you, and I don't know if convince is the right word, but South Africa wines are not as popular to the general public as, say, French wines are. So how do you make the case for it? Do you just let the wine do the talking by itself, or how do you convince people that they actually have wine there?
Yeah, and sometimes the biggest challenge is getting in the door. I've found that, yes, not everyone who tastes our wine buys it, but the success rate there is pretty decent. It's hard to get that sales call. So when I'm sending a cold email and I'm just saying, hey, I've got wines from South Africa, that sommelier may not really be interested. That wine buyer may not really be interested. So we've positioned ourselves to work with suppliers who want to be here in the U.S. and who make, in our opinion, like really good products for a price that does over deliver. So some of our more expensive wines are expensive, but we're going to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for and beyond. So we do believe in our product and we stand behind our product. And then it's also just framing it in a way that is appealing to a wine buyer. So doing your research on who your buyer is. A small hip restaurant is going to want something different than like a large retail shop. So pouring the right products for the right people, and just framing it, because maybe, the Chenin is a great price point. It's not an expensive wine. So maybe one retailer, he's looking for whites that'll retail under $15. Well, I'm just going to bring them what they want. Someone else, it might be framing it like, hey, we've got wines that represent like the next generation of South African wine. That might be exciting to a different customer. So it just depends on who you're selling to.
And when you decide what wines you want to import, do you think about wines that you're interested in, or do you think about what people maybe have asked for or things like that? How much is, okay, can I sell this, versus I'm really passionate about this wine, I've tasted it, I've met the people, I'm passionate about them and their story, and I want this to be in America and sold?
I think that our passion behind it is the strongest factor. When we assembled our first portfolio, a wine buyer, actually Tony over at Cleveland Park, kind of pointed out, he's like, oh, you guys really like wines that are a little bit more restrained, refined versus like big, bold. And we had kind of almost not even realized that, because you don't always see things when you're in the heart of it. That being said, we have maybe not brought in some wines that we do love and are passionate about, but just realistically might be a struggle to sell. So it does play a role. There's a Viognier from Constantia that I love. we brought a little bit of over. We did a little bit of market research with it, and it wasn't a good place for us to start as new people to the industry. So.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, are you ever approached by a winemaker and their wine may be unfavorable?
Ooh.
Wait, I'm sorry.
And they're like, "Hey, import this."
Right.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, let me call you back.
Yeah. People actually reach out to you a lot, and when you're active on social media, I think that maybe even more so. And I think I feel for the producers regardless of what they're putting out, because all of them are like, "Hey, I'll send you samples. I'll send you samples." I'm like, "Don't send me samples. I really don't think I'm bringing this product in." And I think maybe some people in the industry, at least in the past, have taken advantage of suppliers who are like, "Hey, I'll send you samples just to get product, to get wine." Right. So that's more where we've had to back off. I mean, we just kind of say no. We've also had really interesting, exciting people reach out to that just we're not in a position to bring on because we have to follow our business plan.
Interesting. Huh.
I just want people to send me samples. I might start telling people I'm an import. Let's see if we can bring this in.
I know. I had a question. Are you guys going to stick with South Africa, or are you going to go to any other continent or any other country or region?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't know the answer yet. I'd like to expand. I'd like to stick with our mission of kind of maybe representing like underrepresented wine regions, or sticking with something like that. But I would be interested in expanding in the future. So hopefully we get there. Yeah.
About how many wines are in your portfolio right now?
Right now, just 9, and we're gonna have a container come over so that we'll have the wines for like the holiday season 2018. We're bringing in 1 new product then. I'm not gonna say what it is because it's not 100% confirmed. We have to get the labels approved through the government, so we'll have up to 10, which is a small portfolio for sure.
Okay. What was the first wine you brought over? Like, what was the first wine you had in your portfolio?
So we started with, I think it was 5. Let me see. We started with the Capsic, Chenin, and Pinotage. We started with the Babel and Storin, Babel and Rosé, and then we also started with Eagle's Nest, Sauv Blanc, and Shiraz. And then Ernst Gals and Company, they're Pinot Noir. So the first wine we actually physically had our hands on was Babel and Storin, because the winemaker was going to visit DC in October of 2016. So we were able to not get the wines from South Africa, but we just bought them from a wholesaler in Georgia who had the wines. And actually, I think it was our 7th or 6th wedding anniversary, and we did a wine dinner at Dino's Grotto with Charles, which was actually a really cool way to spend the anniversary. Yeah.
So you said you have to get the wine labels approved. So when it comes over, does it just have the front label and then you have to put the back label on?
No, the producers do all that. We just have to work with the government because U.S. laws are obviously totally different than South Africa. Actually, Danny Stetler just told me last week, I didn't know this. Have you ever seen the Sapatours bottles? There's like a "Don't drink wine and walk in the road" label on the back of it. That's a legally accepted alcohol warning in South Africa. Not here. Ours has to have, the real specific things that the U.S. requires. So they stick those labels on for us, and they'll do that for all the different countries they export to.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's different for each country.
Exactly.
Yeah, because here they have, every label has to have a pregnant woman on it, and then with the circle with the line through it. And so that's their, you shouldn't drink while pregnant.
It's usually she's like, it's side profile.
Well, here we keep it a little classy. She's pregnant, but then she has a glass. And they like, no, sis, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself or your baby. So drink water. That's what you should do.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Did you guys have any other questions before Tanisha goes through all the rapid fire questions?
Rapid fire.
All right, so you
All
ready? We got some rapid fire questions for you. And by rapid fire, I mean this is, just first thing come to your mind.
Okay.
Say it. All right. Do you have a favorite wine pairing?
Yes. So we made, this was unexpected. We had a leftover sample of the Chenin, and we paired it with sweet and sour pork, which we had no idea that was going to work, and it was awesome. So I don't know. I mean, when you have a professional pairing done, they do a better job than I would. But those surprises are what I really like, when you're like, whoa, I didn't expect to get that elevation with this pairing, and then you do. So yeah, that one sticks out for me for that reason.
Yeah, that would have stuck out for me too. So now I'm like, I gotta try it. All right. Sometime this week. What's your favorite cereal?
You guys are gonna think I'm weird. I like just like oatmeal, but I do it savory. So I put an egg on it and some avocado and some
up.
Really?
I know people think that's so weird. I don't.
I won't say weird.
And
I'll say I've never
how do you
heard
make your
before.
oatmeal? You make it with milk or water?
Well, I just water.
Just
Yeah.
water. And
Yeah.
egg.
And then
and
like
avocado.
the egg that you put on it, is it like over easy, fried hard? How is the egg?
I'll just like sunny side up. Yep.
Okay.
You get the runny yolk. Yeah, I know. Leslie's making a really fun.
Interesting.
That's the first time I've heard. Now, I have recently spoke with someone who, he puts his oatmeal in the crock pot.
Oh,
Okay.
And
that's interesting.
he cooks it overnight, and he adds all of the accoutrements in it. So he puts like cranberries and brown sugar. And so then in the morning, he has his crock pot full of oatmeal.
That actually sounds delicious to wake up to, like that
Yeah,
smell.
the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like similar to, I guess, overnight oats, where they put them in the refrigerator and then they like marinate or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up. Do you have an item that brings you luck? Or that you consider lucky?
No, I have a terrible habit of like fiddling with anything that's in my pocket, whether it's a penny or a button that fell off my jacket or something, but I don't think I have any lucky items.
Okay. Favorite childhood toy?
A stuffed animal named Gundy that I hugged so much. He's got a very tapered waist. The little golden retriever, just like stuffed animal thing.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Do you take it with milk and sugar?
I do not.
Nothing. So just straight black.
Straight black.
Flavor coffee or just like straight
Plain coffee. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rooftop or fire pit?
Fire pit, especially if you're like near the water somewhere, or I don't know, in the mountains, something kind of quiet, peaceful. Yeah. Not in my front yard. We would not be allowed to do that, and the deck would burn down.
I don't have a front yard, so. Chicago style or New York style pizza?
I'm a New Yorker, so New York, no doubt.
Yeah.
You're pretty quiet over there, Tanisha.
That's fine. So next question. Name something you do to unwind.
I do yoga and work out, and I do take being healthy and fit seriously. So that'll be one component of it, but then I look forward to finishing that and having a glass of wine.
There it is.
Right. I watch that on TV and have a glass of wine.
There you go.
I'm like, I worked out. Yay. Well, thank you for participating in the rapid fire. That was all the questions I have. So, see, easy.
Awesome.
That's harmless.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
great.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, tell everybody again where they can find you and when they can follow you.
Okay. We are at Red Wolf Imports on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the rest of your evening. Have a great evening.
It was
Enjoy
good.
that, Shannon.
Thank you.
Hi guys, that wraps up the show. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, like us on SoundCloud, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Send us any questions or concerns at swirlsweet.com. Any ideas? Let us know. Cheers.